They told me I was nothing. They looked at where I came from, what I didn't have, and they assumed that's where the story ended. No father in the house, no money, no future. I was labeled, written off, counted out before I ever got the chance to start. But let me tell you something. Where you start does not define where you finish. Just because I came from nothing doesn't mean I was destined to stay there. See, people confuse beginnings with limitations. They think if you're born broke, you're meant to stay broke. If you're raised in chaos, then your future must be chaos. But that's a lie. That's a mindset built on fear, not faith. I wasn't born with much, but I was born with something. I was born with a will, a drive, a hunger to become more. I didn't have the tools, but I had the fight. I didn't have the blueprint, but I had the belief. And that belief is what changed everything. There were days I looked in the mirror and didn't see much. Days I doubted, days I wanted to quit. But deep down, even when I was losing, I still had this whisper in my spirit saying, "You were made for more than this." I held on to that. I carried it with me when I slept on floors. When I failed in school, when I felt invisible, I carried that voice like a weapon. Because when the world tells you who you're not, you better have something inside that reminds you who you can become. I don't care what they called you. I don't care what your family looked like. I don't care what neighborhood you grew up in. That's not the final word on your life. That's just the starting line. And starting lines don't define champions. Finishing lines do. Some people are born with everything and waste it. Others are born with nothing and build empires from dust. The difference is the mindset. The difference is the heart. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about refusing to let your circumstances become your identity. You're not your past. You're not your pain. You're not the statistic they tried to put you in. You're not the limitation that somebody else created. You are what you choose to become. Every step you take is a chance to rewrite the story. Every decision is a chance to flip the script. But you've got to believe that. You've got to stop looking at your background as a curse and start seeing it as fuel. I thank God I didn't have it easy. Because it taught me how to fight. It taught me how to grind. It taught me how to get up when I fall. The hard road made me. The struggle shaped me. When you come from nothing, you learn how to turn pain into power. You learn how to make a way when there is no way. You learn how to keep walking even when the path isn't clear. And I need you to hear me right now. You've got that same fire inside of you. Maybe nobody's told you. Maybe you've been waiting for permission. Maybe you've been looking for proof. This is it. This is your moment to say, I'm more than where I came from. Don't let your origin become your excuse. Let it become your edge. Let it become the reason you grind harder, think bigger, and rise higher. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't remember where you started. It remembers what you became. Nobody talks about the fact that I was a high school dropout. They talk about the fact that I got back up. Nobody cares that I came from the bottom. They care that I didn't stay there, that I kept pushing, that I kept believing, that I transformed what looked like nothing into something unshakable. So when they tell you you'll never make it, smile. When they doubt you, thank them. When they say you're not enough, keep going, because that's your signal. You're about to do something they never saw coming. Where you start doesn't define where you finish. I wasn't the smartest. I didn't have the most talent. I didn't grow up with resources or connections or a safety net. But let me tell you what I did have. I had hunger. Real hunger. The kind of hunger that wakes you up in the middle of the night with your heart pounding because you know you were made for more. The kind of hunger that makes you grind when you're tired, show up when you're hurting, and keep moving when nothing around you makes sense. That hunger, that fire, it's what got me here. People always think it's the people with the best tools who win. The people with the perfect setup, the clean path, But I'm telling you right now, the real advantage in life isn't comfort, it's hunger. It's not about having everything. It's about needing something so bad you're willing to go through everything to get it. When you've had to fight for every inch, every meal, every chance, you operate differently. You show up with a different kind of intensity because you know what it's like to be overlooked, underprepared, and still push through. I didn't have options. I didn't have a backup plan. I had to figure it out. I had to learn to hustle, to think different, to outwork everybody, and what I found is that hunger makes you resourceful. Hunger makes you creative. When you can't go over, you go under. When you can't go through, you go around. When the door won't open, you build your own. That's what hunger does. It doesn't accept no. It doesn't wait for permission. It finds a way. That's why I don't envy the ones who had it easy. I don't wish I had a silver spoon. Because what I went through taught me to survive, taught me to focus, taught me to grow. It made me dangerous. It made me unstoppable. The struggle gave me tools no classroom could ever teach. It made me develop skills I didn't even know I had. I learned to speak life over myself. I learned how to stay disciplined when nobody was watching. I learned how to create momentum out of nothing but effort. See, when you're hungry, comfort isn't the goal, growth is. You don't chase ease, you chase excellence. You don't run from hard, you run toward it. That's what separates the ones who dream from the ones who do. The hungry ones don't wait for motivation. They wake up and move because not moving is not an option. They don't just want success, they need it. And that need gives them a mindset that can't be bought, can't be faked, and can't be taught. There were moments when everything in me wanted to quit, when it felt like nothing was working, like no matter how hard I tried, the results weren't showing. But that hunger kept whispering, just one more rep, one more step, one more try. And every time I obeyed that hunger, every time I pushed through instead of pulling back, I got stronger. I got clearer. I got better. Most people don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they're not hungry enough to endure the process. The road is hard. The climb is real, but the hungry keep going. They learn to fall in love with the grind because they know the grind is where greatness is born. Not in the spotlight, not in the applause, but in the unseen hours, in the lonely moments, in the silence when nobody believes but you. So you can keep your fancy tools, you can keep your perfect setup. Give me someone with hunger. Give me someone who's tired of being stuck. Someone who's sick of being average. Someone who's got that fire in their chest that won't let them settle. That person, you can't stop them. They'll outlast you, outwork you, outgrow you, because they're not chasing comfort. They're chasing change. I'm not here because I had everything. I'm here because I wanted everything they said I couldn't have. I was willing to struggle for it, to hurt for it, to lose sleep, lose friends, lose comfort for it. I didn't get here with ease. I got here with hunger, and I'm still hungry, still grinding, still reaching. Because once you've had nothing and you've tasted growth, you never want to go back. You keep going, you keep evolving, you keep pushing the line. Hunger is the real advantage. I've taken losses, real losses. Not the kind you post about, not the kind that come with sympathy and support. I'm talking about the kind of losses that shake your soul, the kind that make you question everything, your purpose, your value, your strength. I've been rejected. I've been counted out. I've been in rooms where nobody saw me. I've failed publicly and privately, and for a while I thought maybe they were right. Maybe I wasn't built for this. But then I realized something that changed everything. Every setback was actually a setup. Every loss I took was preparing me for something greater. See, the world sees a loss and calls it the end, but I stopped calling it loss. I started calling it training. I started looking at failure like a teacher, like a tool, like a ladder. And once I made that shift in my mind, everything else shifted too. I stopped being afraid to fall, because I understood falling was just part of the climb. You don't get to the top without slipping sometimes. You don't get stronger without resistance. You don't become great without going through something. The comeback isn't born out of success, it's born out of struggle. Out of pain, out of nights when you can't sleep because your heart is heavy and your mind is racing. Out of days when you have to show up even though everything inside you says not to. I've had to rebuild myself more than once. And every time I came back wiser, I came back sharper, I came back hungrier. Life didn't get easier, I just got stronger. Some people are waiting for everything to be perfect before they start. Waiting for the ideal situation, the right timing, the perfect opportunity. But what they don't understand is that the opportunity is the struggle. The setup is the setback. Because if you learn how to push through the hard stuff, you'll be unstoppable when the blessings come. You'll be ready, you'll be equipped. You won't just appreciate it, you'll own it. There were moments when I was broken, completely broken. But even then I told myself, get back up, get back up. Because quitting wasn't going to change anything. It wasn't going to get me closer to the dream. It wasn't going to feed my purpose. So I stood, even when I had to do it shaky. I walked, even when my legs were weak. I spoke, even when my voice trembled. Because the comeback doesn't wait for you to feel ready. The comeback waits for you to decide. That's the key. It's a decision. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's a choice you make in the middle of your worst moments to believe there's still something in you worth fighting for. You've got to believe it before you see it. You've got to speak it before it shows up. You've got to act like it's already yours, even when everything around you says it's not. That mindset, that decision, is what turns nothing into something. You think your story is over, it's not. You think this pain means you're finished, it doesn't. It means you're being positioned. Every no is teaching you something. Every failure is shaping you. Every delay is developing you. The comeback isn't just about getting back what you lost. It's about coming back different, coming back better, coming back with a new kind of fire, a new kind of wisdom, a new kind of purpose. Don't be afraid of the bottom. Don't be ashamed of the fall. The bottom is where your foundation gets built. That's where your character gets tested. That's where you discover what you're really made of. And once you rise from that, once you build from that, nobody can take it from you. Because now your strength isn't borrowed, it's earned. The comeback doesn't happen when everything is going right. It happens when everything goes wrong and you still choose to move forward. It happens when you lose the job but keep the vision. When you lose the relationship but keep your peace. When you lose the opportunity but keep showing up like you already won. That's the comeback mindset. That's what takes you from invisible to undeniable. So the next time life knocks you down, remember, this is not the end. It's the beginning of your comeback. Every setback was a setup for the comeback. There was a time when all I felt was pain. I wasn't thinking about purpose. I wasn't thinking about potential. All I knew was survival. Every day felt like a battle just to stay standing. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was tired of being overlooked, tired of struggling, tired of waking up feeling like I didn't matter. And I carried that pain for a long time. I let it sit in my chest, in my thoughts, in my decisions. But then one day something clicked. I realized that pain wasn't just there to hurt me. It was there to push me, to mold me, to wake something up inside me that comfort never could. See, most people run from pain. They bury it. numb it, deny it, but I stopped running. I turned around and faced it. I stared it down and said, "You will not own me. You will not control me. You will teach me." Because once I made that decision, everything changed. I stopped seeing pain as punishment and started seeing it as preparation. That pain gave me something no textbook ever could perspective. It taught me how to fight. It taught me how to rise. It taught me how to lead with passion, not position. I turned the pain into purpose. I turned all the rejection, the failure, the doubt, into fuel, into clarity, into a mission that became bigger than just my survival. That's when the shift happened. I stopped chasing success to prove people wrong. I started chasing purpose to pull people up. I realized the pain I went through wasn't just about me. It was about every person I'd meet who needed to hear that they could go through the fire and come out stronger. And that's what you have to understand. The pain you're in right now, it's not just for you. It's building something in you that someone else is going to need. It's giving you a testimony. It's giving you credibility. People don't connect with perfect. They connect with real. They connect with scars. They connect with the broken pieces you were brave enough to put back together. That's what purpose is. It's not always glamorous. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's born in silence, in nights where you cry yourself to sleep, in mornings where you drag yourself out of bed, in moments where you choose to keep going when everything in you says stop. When I stopped running from my pain, I started to see the gift inside it. I started to see how every disappointment taught me something, how every delay developed me, how every no made me more resilient. And I realized I needed that pain, not because I liked it, but because it prepared me. It stripped away the ego, it humbled me, it focused me, and most of all, it reminded me that if I could survive that, I could face anything else that came my way. Purpose gave me direction. It gave me discipline. I stopped wasting time trying to fit in, trying to be accepted, trying to please people who didn't even know my story. I started locking in on the people who needed what I had, who needed my voice, my energy, my lessons. That's when I started to build something real, not based on applause, but based on impact, not based on validation, but based on vision. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have everything figured out, but what you do have is your pain, and if you're willing to be honest about it, if you're willing to use it instead of hide it, it will lead you to your purpose. It will fuel your journey. It will sharpen your focus. You've been through too much to waste it now. You didn't survive all that just to stay silent. You didn't get through the darkness just to stay in the shadows. Everything you've been through can either define you or drive you. And when you choose purpose, that pain becomes a weapon. It becomes power. You stop walking like a victim and start moving like a warrior. Because now you're not just surviving. You're serving. You're not just breathing. You're building something that will outlive you. You don't need perfect circumstances to have purpose. You need perspective. You need hunger. You need the courage to take your brokenness and build something with it. That's what I did. That's what I'm still doing. Every day I wake up and ask myself, who needs me to not quit today? That's what keeps me locked in. That's what keeps me rising, even when I fall. I turned the pain into purpose.